Hello everyone, this is Dr. John here, and today we're going to go into the part 2 of the emotional aspects of the knee. And this is going to be a little bit longer one, so you can catch the full reel on my YouTube channel, and I'll put that below. And if this is the YouTube channel, well, this is the full reel. So with knees, some of the main things that it goes over or applies to is our flexibility, our pride, modesty, humility, because to be able to bend, you have to be flexible and adapt. You have to be flexible, and knees go both ways, and well, when they don't, then there's some issues. So they can represent feeling the need to bend the knee, or even resisting that need to bend the knee, which is to authority and or the resentment of doing this to an authority figure. Now, recognized authority figures can be political, they can be work-related, professional, they can be family, they can be parent, they can be guardian, they can be religious, they can even be spouse if you give them that power. So the feel of and resisting that need to bend the knee, or feeling forced to do so. And another aspect is if I'm flexible and too flexible, this can make me look weak and damage my self-esteem and pride, so I have to be stiffer in my knees. And that stiffness in the knees can feel stiff in the knees, as well as lead to injuries in the knees. Knees can also deal with conflict of not wanting to submit to authority, but don't see any other option, at least not one that you are comfortable with submitting to. It also has that feeling of I can't do what I want to do. So again, feeling forced or obligated. Feeling like you always have to submit to the will of others, which is often coming from an authoritarian and or abusive upbringing of making us believe that's our only options. Feeling obligated to take on the responsibilities of others or being responsible for others. Cutting oneself off at the knees is another sort of expression, and or being cut off. We can do that to ourselves, or we can also feel like it's being done by another person. This all deals with devaluing ourselves for fear of angering someone, fear of someone seeing us as a competition. So to still be accepted by those people, I sort of cut myself off at the knees so I don't succeed, so I don't achieve, so I don't get ahead of them. And then they'll still accept me, still love me, still not see me as a threat. So not be a target for them. And yeah, so sorry. I think I have to work on my palmar grasp prune reflex to help with my handwriting. Another aspect is inability to stand up for oneself. So again, the action of standing up, going through the knees to do so. And whether that's fear of another from their power, their authority, fear of getting in trouble, still being from that abusive aspect. Fear of being seen as powerful, valuable, worthy, or worth attention. So again, can't stand up for oneself because I don't measure up. So discomfort in change of direction of self, life, profession, relationship, in any aspect, that inability to change direction or feeling discomfort in changing directions can be shown in the knees. Feeling like being forced in a direction against our wills or our wants. Feeling weak in the knees, which one devalues oneself in relation to another. Like if someone feels weak in the knees because someone's in their presence, that's either us giving our power away or us feeling that the other person has higher status, higher attractiveness, higher whatever. So we aren't, or a part of us is not feeling as worthy. So even though it may feel like, oh, this is a connection that makes me feel weak in the knees, it's also an aspect of seeing ourselves as less than in some way. So knee swelling is trying to put a nice spin or perspective on feeling the need to submit to someone to make this submission more bearable. Arthritis of the knees is often dealing with lack of respect of self and or not taking responsibility for our own issues and blaming others for what happens to us. Cartilage issues, that cushion, that protection is don't know or unable to protect self from authority, situation, other person, someone we love, family, whatever. Meniscus, inability to adapt to certain orders from authority figures or refuse to give into someone stronger than us. Meniscus also is a little cushion, but it adds stability. So that lack of being able to hold that stability with orders from some authority figure. Ligaments deal with trying to hold stability for future issues. So worry or uncertainty in regards to possible future circumstances of submission or obedience. So that fear that you will have to submit or be obedient in a certain situation in the future, and just even the worry of it, whether it comes about or not. Cruciate ligaments, they cross as the from front and back. They go from top to back, top front to back, or lower back, and then they cross the other way as well. And it's feeling like loss of value due to various paths or events that cross our lives. Patella, kneecap, feeling disappointment and irritation in our dreams or projects that seem out of reach somehow. Now, other aspects of like knee tracking is trying to force our way on a path that may not be working for us. That can also be trying to slow us down on our path so that we can take in more information, take in a situation, adapt better, versus trying to rush through and pass our ability to adapt. So those are a lot of what deals with the knees. Now, also with knees, everything we brought up, all these aspects also helps us with healing these issues. It helps us with acceptance. It helps us with surrender. It helps us with what's called a conscious submission. So, and it's not like conscious submission to authority, but it's almost like if we're open to new ideas, if we're open to new paths, even though if they weren't in our initial plan, whether relationships, whether business, whether profession, whether how we see ourselves or how we deal with others, that being open to surrendering to a path that may have not been in our sight before, it may not have been within our rigid way of thinking before, and then being able to surrender to that. There's that aspect of, rejection is God's or the universe's redirection, and being able to accept that redirection, accept that recalibration can be very helpful in our life, and these may be messages and messengers for this. So I hope everyone got something out of this. If you did, please share it. If you have any comments, please leave below, and wish everyone a very blessed day. Thanks.